talk about root user best practices for AWS. So what is root user? Well, it's the account created when you first sign up for AWS. It gives you full access to all resources and features. Think of it as a master key. Now, this level of access makes it critical during initial account setup. This is where you begin to lay the security foundations. So on your screen, you can see a typical account setup, AWS account root user, and it's set up with admins, developer groups, test groups. But the first thing I really want to ram home is do not use root access. That's right, don't use it. So initially we have to set it up, but after that, and after I show you a few things, we are going to lock it up and only use it in case of emergency. Now I've made some rules called the rules of root access, and hopefully some of you may have seen this movie Fight Club and get the connection. There's the rules of Fight Club, which is not to talk about Fight Club. So the rules of root access. The first rule of root access, do not use root access. And the second rule of root access, if you want to try and guess, is, of course, do not use root access. However, when you're setting up AWS for the first time, there's some steps required to secure your root account and set up an admin user. So enable multi-factor authentication, MFA, by going to My Security Credentials, selecting Assign MFA device, and following the setup with an authenticator app or hardware device. Next, if you haven't already, when you initially signed up, create a strong, unique password, at least 12 characters, mixing letters and numbers and symbols, and store it safely and never share it. Do not create access keys for the root user. So let's now go away and do those three things on a real AWS account that has just been set up. So here we are in our brand new AWS account, and if we go over to the top right and click on Security Credentials, we will see this pop up, not quite pop up, but come in front of us and say you don't have MFA assigned. As a security best practice, we recommend you assign MFA. So that's one of the things I talked about, and that's exactly what we're about to do. So click on Assign MFA. First thing is we need to give it a name. So I'm just going to call it MFA Cloud Wizard root. And there's three options: passkey or security key. Now that's authenticate using your fingerprint, face, or screen lock. There's also authenticator app, such as Google Authenticator. That's the one I'm going to use. And there's a little bit more complicated, is a hardware TOTP token. You will not worry about that for the moment. So I'm going to click on Authenticator app and click Next. Now, as you can see, in step 1, it says install a compatible application such as Google Authenticator, Duo Mobile, or AuthApp. Now, I have Google Authenticator. I suggest you use that one unless you have a reason not to. You can download it from the App Store for your mobile device. So let's use that, and I'm going to show a QR code and then scan that in, which I have just done. And the next thing you need to do is on your Google Authenticator app or whatever app you are using, put in two authentication or virtual app authentication codes. That will come up as it cycles through them. Now let's put in that one. 4, 5, and we have to wait 30 seconds, and I will maybe skip ahead. And then you put in the next one. And then we hit add MFA. Okay, and it says MFA device assigned. Can register up to 8 MFA devices of any combination of the currently supported MFA types. Now the second thing that I highlighted that we need to do is use a strong root user password to help protect access. So once your MFA device is set up, you should also be able to see it down here. We go to update email address and password. You could also update your account name. I'm not going to update my password. I set up a really strong password when I first set up my account. But if you have not done that, I suggest you go and do this second step to at least set up a very strong password. At least 12 characters, mixing letters, numbers, and symbols, and then store it safely and never share it. And the third step, if you remember, was do not create access keys for the root user. Now, a while ago, I'm not sure how long, when I set up an AWS account a few years back, it automatically created access keys for the root user. And you had to go in and delete them, which was part of the security best practice. But now that looks like that does not happen. So they just make the caveat to don't create access keys for the root user, which most people were probably not going to do anyway. So great. So now we've secured our root access. Hopefully you have too. You followed along with this tutorial. So now we're going to go back to the slide and see what we're going to do next. Okay, here we are back here again at our slide, and we have done these three things. Hopefully you have too. We've secured our root user using multi-factor authentication, and we've used a strong root user password to help protect access, and we have not set up any access keys. The next thing we need to do is now set up an IAM admin user. So don't lock up your root access keys. Sorry, not your root access keys. Don't lock up your root access password and login just yet, because we still need to be logged in to set up the admin user. And once we've done that, we no longer will need our root access. Well, let's move on to setting up an admin user. So as I just discussed, we are now going to set up an IAM admin user, and which is a critical best practice to minimize the use of the root user. And as we already know, the root user should only be used for tasks that require it, such as billing or closing the account. So once we've set up this admin user, we are going to lock up our root access and store it in a safe place. Now this guide is based on an official AWS documentation and assumes you have a new AWS account. And to set it up, it's only going to take 10 minutes or so. And the other good thing is it will not cost you anything. It's part of the AWS free tier. Okay, so we first need to create an IAM admins group, which will live under the root user, which we are still needing just to set this admin user up. Once this is done, we were going to abandon, or not abandon the root user, but put it away in a safe place, store it, and only use it if we really, really have to. So the admins group is a group that will contain users. We do not have any users in there at the moment. And this is the procedure that we're going to follow to do it on the left. So I'll briefly read through it. So in the AWS Management Console, search for IAM, and we click User Groups. We create the group. We enter a group name, and we attach permissions, policies. And the policy we're going to attach is administrator access. And as such there. So that's a great diagram to sort of try and understand what we're trying to do here. We're creating a admins group, and in that admins group we're tying a policy to it, and then later we're going to start putting users in here. First of all, we're just going to put one user in there. So let's go away now to the AWS console and do exactly that. Okay, so I am already in IAM, but if you're not, there's a couple of ways to do it. You could search in the search bar and put IAM, and it'll come up. There's countless ways, but let's just go with that one for the moment. And on the left pane, we click on user groups, and we do not have any groups at the moment. So we create a group, and let's call it admin group. We're not going to add any users. We don't have any at the moment. But what we are going to do is tie this first policy that you see here. So you don't have to search for it. It should be the first one in your list. We're going to tie that to this group, such. And then we go down here and create a user group. And up here it says, doesn't like the group name, doesn't like spaces. Let's read that a bit more. Valid characters required. I think it doesn't like the spaces, so put a underscore there. Go back and create the user group. And straight away, it creates the group for us. Now let's jump back to our other screen where we were going through the procedure. And we're going to follow this procedure underneath here. IAM admin user. Quickly read through it. We, in the console which we are in, going to click users, create user, give it a name, and it will come up with some questions about whether you want console access or programmatic access. We're just going to go with console for the moment, and we can auto-generate a password. And then we're going to attach it to the admin group, and we can put some tags in there if we want, and then create the user. So let's go away and do that. Okay, here we are, back again, and we can see our group still there, admin group with no users in it. And that's what we're going to do now, is click on users on the left, create a user. The username I'm going to call a cloud wizard. And we need to provide user access to the AWS Management Console. So you'll see two choices: specify a user in Identity Center, which is recommended, or create an IAM user. Now this is somewhat new, not very recent, but new way of doing things that is beyond the scope of what I want to show here. So I'm going to create an IAM user. Just to keep things simple, we're going to talk about the Identity Center in another video. So I want to create an IAM user. Even though it says only if you need programmatic access, we're going to ignore that for the moment. And we auto-generate a password. Show the password. And users must create a new password at next sign-in, recommended. Click on that also. And click next. And we're going to add a user to the group, the admin group. Click next. Notice it also attaches a IAM user change password policy or permissions. Well, it's called a permissions policy, and the admin group is a permissions group. And we're not going to put a tag on, but I do encourage you to put tags on most things, especially resources. So let's click Create User. And our user is created successfully. So we now have a console sign-in URL, our username and our password, which I will not show you. Now, if this user is not yourself, it will be emailed to you, but if you're just setting it up for yourself, and have a look at that password. Take note of it. Store it in a safe location and log into the URL that is listed here. So let's do that. I'm going to do it in another window, a incognito window. For obvious reasons, those being I'm already logged in on the other window without root access. And we sign in. And it comes up with the screen that says you need to reset your password. And what you'll see is when you first log in is it needs a password reset. And I put the old password in here and I put a new password in. And we confirm password change. And we continue to sign in. And there we are, we're logged in now as admin. And we can see all the necessary services that we need to. Pretty much all of them. Just click on one just to show you Athena, to randomly pick one. There's Athena. So you now have an admin login. Do not use your root access password. Lock that up. Okay, we're going to go back to our screen. And here we are back here and gone through all this. We've created our IAM admin user. And at the bottom here it says copy the console sign-in URL, username and password, or download a CSV file, and that's your admin user's login info. So that's the one now you need to use. And there we magically appear in our group, a cloud wizard. This is now a user that we're going to use from now on to log into AWS, because our root access, our root user, we're going to lock it up. I'm not going to use that. And if we do all this, we will be following root user best practices. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. But first, let's just have a look at what's in store for us in the next module. And we're going to talk about security best practices in IAM. And we're going to cover fun stuff like least privilege, user groups, policies, multi-factor authentication, which we've already talked about in this one, and all sorts of fun stuff. So look forward to talking to you on the next one. Thanks for watching.